Today I want to talk about the attitude of being the best. Now, in the world, people have skills that we often envy. For example, someone might play an instrument, sing a song, be able to write a book, be able to act, be able to just do something that is so athletic or so artistic or so intellectual that we just think it's the most wonderful thing we've ever seen. And we tend to envy this person. We say, well, look at this guy, he can just sing, and or this woman can dance, or this woman is really pretty, or this person is really intelligent. But understand that no one has a lock on everything that is out there. And in our mind, we tend to fantasize about things. Now, nothing wrong with having plans. You see, a lot of things that we have in this world were things that someone imagined and said to themselves, I want to build a structure that shows these things being utilized in a natural environment. For example, Star Trek. We see cell phones, we see computers, we see Skype, we see um, iPhones, uh, iPads. We see so many things that we have today that was not even invented, but it was being utilized in a natural environment. And so someone said, you know what? I want to make that part of my reality, not just my fantasy. And that's why we have these things. And that's why we're moving on towards things in the future. I mean, we're going to be able to have phones where you can just talk to somebody in your language and it'll speak to them in their language. With cars that will drive themselves, with avatars, we'll have holograms, we'll have educational systems where people can just implant the information to your brain like the Matrix. So these things are coming up because if we have a picture of these things being done in a natural environment, then we say we've seen something that's going to come. It becomes our goal. It becomes something we're moving towards. And that's how humans move on. We have ideals and ideas that we want to have in our life. Okay, so the ideal body would be, a small waist and a large chest, or the ideal education would be someone who could learn anything quickly and utilize it, and it goes on. But the reality of life is that we can only be proficient in certain segments of our life, certain areas of our life, not everything. So someone who speaks 5 languages does not speak 6. Someone who plays the piano cannot play the saxophone. Someone who sings cannot dance. Someone who writes cannot act. Someone who acts cannot write. They cannot direct. Someone who directs cannot perform. And it goes on and on and on. And so what does that mean? It means that when you see someone and they're always jumping around, they're called a jack of all trades. There's someone who is not satisfied with one particular skill set or one particular um, segment of their life. They want to do it all because they fantasize about that Superman, the person who can run fast and fly and is strong and is insightful and is immortal and impervious to pain and can go back in time and can see the future and can hypnotize people, and just it goes on and on. I mean, your ability to imagine is immense. I mean, there is no limit to what we can imagine, but there is still a limit to what we can achieve. And by looking at our lives in a sense of being able to say, look, I can do this thing very, very well, and that's what I'm going to focus on. That's more, to me, it's more of a useful thing than someone who looked at someone and says, wow, I want to be able to do that, and so now I'm going to focus on that. So would you rather be able to do one thing very well or do many things just iffy? I mean, the phrase is a jack of all trades and the master of none for a reason, because when a person tries to do everything, when they try to just look at every aspect of humanity any particular realm. They say, I want to be able to speak 5 languages and play 5 instruments and date a bunch of women and be a doctor and a lawyer and a mechanic and an actor and a singer, a songwriter, a politician, a minister. Um, it goes on and on. You're going to find that they are able to do a lot of things, but at very low level. But someone who says to themselves, I'm going to focus on this one thing and master it to be the best. Now, I don't know how well Sinatra was as a writer. He was a great singer. Now, of course, he did acting. Nothing wrong with doing other things. But his main focus, his bread and butter, his trademark was his ability to sing. And if he could do some acting or he could do some dancing or whatever, that was a casual thing. Nothing wrong with that. But he focused primarily on his ability to sing. People like Michael Jackson, again, the man was a writer. He was a singer. He was a dancer, but he did not spend a lot of time learning to play instruments because he focused on that one particular thing, which had maybe different segments. He was able to write his own music, to sing his own music, and to dance to his own songs. But he was not interested primarily in playing instruments. That's why he hired bands to do that kind of stuff for him. He focused on the essence of what he had to do. He was an entertainer. He was not a one-man band. Or someone who is a prolific writer, like J.K. Rowling, or it goes on. There's tons of them. Stephen King. These people, they focus on the writing. They don't go out and act. They don't go out and try to direct, or they don't try to do anything that is going to take away their main focus of being the highest level of what they can do. And also, what they often don't do is stray away from what they're good at. Okay, J.K. Rowling, she's writing some kind of a book on something else. I have no idea. But the point is, her main thing is that fantasy thing. Stephen King, he writes horror novels. Now, he's written some things that were not particularly horrific, like The Shawshank Redemption or The Running Man and things like that. But still, they had some element of danger, and it was still on the same level. He doesn't write comedies, for example. Okay, he doesn't write love stories, for example. He focuses on things that kind of have danger in them, either just adventure or just horror. Okay, so what does it mean to you? It means that if you spend enough time, I'm talking about spending the bulk of your time focusing on that thing that you can do, you'll show yourself to be a master, and you will be able to do things in your life that no one else will be able to do because they're focusing on everything, but you're focusing on that one thing. And there are people who are out there and they make money doing things that you would never consider doing, nor would I. There are guys, they had this thing called the puppet of the penis, and these guys, they actually went around the world and they performed like a puppet act using their penises. That's crazy. You'll see it on HBO. Or someone, there's a guy, his ability, he can flagellate. You know, he goes around the world and he does an act where he just farts and makes all kind of musical renditions and all kind of crazy stuff. And again, I would never do that. Okay. Or someone, they may say, for example, Janet Jameson. She is, of course, a porn actress. She became a millionaire performing sex. Okay. Again, I'm not saying that I'm going to say that's the way for you to go. But what I'm saying is these are things that people one day decide, you know what, this is all I can do. This is all I got. And they went out and they made it happen. But taking it more to a, let's say, a way that you can look at something which is not so salacious, is someone who decides that they can sing. And all they can do is sing. And they go out there and they get maybe one of these talent shows and they sing and they become Kelly Clarkson. or any one of those people on American Idol who became big, like um, Carrie Underwood and people like that. I mean, they have one skill they can do well. They can sing. And someone said, you should go out there and show it. And now they're not just rich, but they're happy. They're showing their skill. Okay? So again, what this means to you, if you have one thing that you can do, one thing, then focus on it. Now I know myself, I am good with math, and I like to do like 2 by 2 calculations, and I like to do 3 by 2 and 4 by 4. But I'm not good at algebra, trigonometry. I'm not good at geometry. These high forms of math. The reason I'm not good at them is because I don't study them. I suppose if someone were to look at me and say, "Well, John, you're really good at basic math. You should branch off into doing calculus or trigonometry or whatever I might have mentioned." That's your impression of what I should do. It's not mine. So I'm going to be the guy who can do the calculations in my head and do the percentages and be able to do multiple applications of different types of math. That's just basic math that I use in my life. I don't use these other forms, algebra. I don't use trigonometry, calculus. I just don't use them. If one day I decide that I need these things, then I'll delve into them. Also with language, I mean, I lived in a French-speaking country for 14 years, so I like French, and I'm always practicing, I'm always studying, I'm always looking at it. But when it comes to Italian or Japanese or Chinese or any language, I really can't put effort into these languages because they're not part of my environment. I don't speak to people in any other language other than English or French. I mean, I might throw a few words in, but I'm not going to spend time focusing on these languages because they really don't mean anything to me. They're for someone who's a polyglot, someone who loves to learn languages just to see if they can do it. I don't have that time in my life. Okay, so what I'm focusing on are the things that are important to me: my writing, my ability to teach, my ability to learn and to perform these skills. But I am not going to be envious of someone who can sing or who can dance or who can play an instrument or who can act or who can read off a prompter and like a person who does the news. It's not important to me. If I decide that I want to add a layer, it's great. But I'm not going to run around feeling inadequate because I'm not this person. Because, as I said before, this person also has things that they can't do. So, my message to you is focus on what you can do, take it to its highest level, and let that be what defines you. Because, in the end, that's really all you have. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.